What's up, guys? It's Ryan, and with this being somewhat of an unusual week, I wanted to give you guys a quick kind of tips and tricks video here for setting up your stat models for this week. Hopefully, you checked out Brad and Kenny's expert models as well as Todd's for Euro, um, and they talk a lot this week about using different stats and especially different course history this week. So, just want to show you how we can do that and how we can set up different models very easily. So I'm on my stat models page here. You can see I already have one created called GPP model 1516. That's using last year's stats. So what I'm going to do is create a new model exactly the same, except it's going to use the new season stats 1617. I'm going to use the default course history here, and we're going to set up the stats first. So I'm going to do exactly what I did on 1516, which was greens and reg, strokes gained approach, DKPG no cut event with a 2-weight, and we had tee to green, we had birdie or better with a 2, and we had par 4, and we also had strokes differential field average. So those are the stats I'm looking at right now. So we're going to jump over to the course history tab. Now since we have no history at this course, you'll see the filter by course here starts with the Chapultepec course that we're on this week, but there's no available events. So we're going to see the default history that we brought in here, the selected events. There are some WGC Bridgestone and the OHL Classic from the past 4 years. So we're going to go ahead and add some other WGC events here. We're going to pull up the Cadillac. Now, remember, if you change the event, you also have to watch the course filter here. It's going to default to the current course. So let's go up there and change that to all courses. So these are now all the WGC Cadillac events that we have. I'm going to click the plus sign to add the last 4. And then I'm also going to add WGC HSBC and add the last 4 of those. So we're going to jump to the settings tab now. This is the 2016-17 model, so we're going to leave that there for the stat season. And then you probably heard, I think Brad said he has 0% on course history this week, and I think Kenny had 10, so I'm going to go ahead and leave 10 on there. We added a bunch of kind of random events there, not random, but WGC events from different courses, but they are all strong field, and the cream tends to rise to the top. So I don't mind a 10% weight on that, but you can of course adjust as you see fit. So we've got everything set. We're going to calculate our ranks now. Give that a couple seconds to run, and then we now have these different models here. So I can head over to the cheat sheet to see the results. And the one thing I want to show you here, now that we have the multiple models here available, we can use the view on the cheat sheet to look at the stat model summary. And this is basically why we created the dual models with last year's and this year's stats. So we can look at this model here, or at this view, and you'll see the standard model, the GPP 1516 that we came in, and the 1617 here. So you can look at the stats. The main difference, of course, is going to be the stats. So you can see that a guy like Spieth here is a good one. Using last year's stats, he shows up 29th. But using this year's stats, he shows up first. And then, of course, Rory's opposite. He was second last year. He's 20th this year. So kind of look through both, and you can kind of tell, Rory doesn't have many events to qualify this year, so maybe that's why his number's a little lower. Spieth has been on fire, so you can quickly spot those kind of differences. All right, so one other thing I want to show you that I use every week for stat models, totally optional, of course, but I like to do my one and done options here. So I create a new model, and I keep the stat model pretty basic. I don't really put in any scoring categories. Do the strokes gained. I do birdie, and then I usually do bogey avoidance. I'll add that one in there too. But then course history, there's not much this week. I'll just leave it as the default. Settings I'll leave as the default. I'll calculate those rankings, and then I can go back to the model, or back to the cheat sheet with that model, and then I'll go through my list here, and I'll just mark about 10 or 12 guys that I'm considering for my one and done this week, and then limit the cheat sheet down to those guys to help me make my decision. So Hope that helps, guys. As always, if you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter or through the Contact Us page on the site. Thanks, guys, and good luck.